Hi, in this video I want to talk about some aspects of parenting which I haven't sort of completed or began. I'm just at the beginning. It's not the end nor the beginning of the end, but it's the end of the beginning. Ha ha ha. Anyway, it's the things that one wants to teach or give examples of to one's kids. Now, first and foremost, I just want to say that in our society, no matter what country you are in, you have the most majority of people sending their kids to school, and when I say to school, I'm just meaning the sort of general mainstream kind of places for education and indoctrination, because there are both of that, education and indoctrination. And the society needs carbs, just like your body needs carbs the mostly. You need the sort of energy. And society needs people who will fulfill the energetic needs of society, basically, to be there and just pass around whatever needs to be passed around. May that be inventions, technology, medicine, curing of people, taking care of them, teaching them, transporting them, of course, and so on. Now, this is a kind of observable thing in any kind of society. It doesn't matter if it's New York, Gothenburg, Mostar, or New York thousands of years ago in some kind of a tribe. You still have the same kind of divisions. And in some societies it's very explicit, like the caste system in India, of course, in Hinduism. Even there it changes, but we have that sort of natural tendency of having a divisions which we begin in. So that's the difference. Like, for example, in a Western society, you start somewhere. You might start in a family which is very wealthy, where your parents know so many people who are in the know of how politics, economy, manners, art, everything works. So you get very much ahead of other people who might start at the middle class or the lower class. Now, you start somewhere. It doesn't mean that you end your journey there, or that you even consider yourself to be part of a group. But there are divisions, there are categories, and there is no judgment in that. I'm not judging it or saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying we all start from some kind of a predisposition. And I'm not going to go into the physical one. I mean, if you have a talent for music or playing ball and so on, but we have a kind of socio-economic, intellectual predisposition from where we start from. Now, in a good society, everybody has the chance to change their starting point. You are born, say, poor, or in a milieu which doesn't offer you so much intellectual and kind of highbrow stimulations. You might get there if you're interested in it, because society offers you a way to get there. That is good. I mean, who wouldn't approve of that? But anyway, and besides all of that, everything seems to come to the kind of finer education which you get outside of the general education. You see, you can finish school and finish with the best grades and all that, but you might not even know how anything works, how anything is done. You're just a copy machine, basically. I mean, I'm just very much over exaggerating now to illustrate the point, but the kind of challenge in today's, for me as a parent and so on, the challenge in a positive way will be to teach or exemplify and give insights for my kids into the various things which took time for me to understand and get into regarding economy, how a business works, how politics really works, the study of Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince. It's all in there. You just change the the century you're living in, the names and so on, but the basics are there. That is a very good antidote for the kind of idealistic theoretical nonsense one is taught for years in school about how the government, how representative democracy works and so on. That's just one side of it. And today in the high-tech online world, even as a digital nomad, I want to teach my kids how to use things properly. It doesn't mean that you are off the online grid, but how to use it safely, how to protect your data, what's what, how things works, and just to be able to understand it on a final level. And that isn't taught anywhere, not in schools. Even if they start with programming now and so on, it's still sort of like the privacy thing, the smart using of modern technology is not taught, because there's no room, there's no space for that. Most teachers aren't aware of that. Most teachers have their phone with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and mobile network on. They haven't probably even sort of disabled their location positioning on their phone. So yeah, that's why you have kids at the age of 7 having Instagram accounts, and and parents sharing all sorts of information without even thinking about it or understanding the bigger picture. And there are so many other things, you want to teach your kid. There are ways of strengthening your mind, a kind of mystical thing that needs to be exemplified and talked about, which is, where do you get that? Where do you get the sort of school of thought which teaches you to be hard as a rock and like free as water, basically, to put those cliches? But basically, how do you become your own individual person, so safe and strong within yourself that you're very synced between your mind, heart and gut, and so on. So besides all the things that society can offer, school or sports activities and so on, these things, depending on where you are in this sort of predisposition division, you have to get it. And I'm not part of any sort of upper class elites which is wealthy and has an art collection, or I'm just very, very average and general. I'm just like one of the common folks, but I've had my journey through life, which has really proved to me that life is so much more, and there was so much more behind the curtains of what was presented and taught. And if something took 10 years for me, will I be able to sort of illustrate that or give the sort of or just have it together with my kids to have them open the door, so it takes maybe much less time for them, so they can advance even further during their life. So when they are at my age, when I'm old, I can say like, wow, they are so ahead of me, they know so much more, they're so much more mature and rock solid than I am or was, and whatever. So, and there are so many aspects of this, and one important thing is, because depending, as a parent, other parents, there's no time for these kind of things. People have groups, secret societies, and places where they go and do whatever they are interested in. But these kind of things aren't that easy to share and work along together with other parents. And you're watching YouTube videos or reading online, it might be good, because if you it can give you an insight and realization that, hey, people are actually doing this, it's possible. For example, for me, years ago, when I saw how people could live their life, that was important for me because that showed me something is possible, and if that's possible for somebody else, I can also get to that point, and so on. And it can also be a good indication that you're not alone out there with certain kind of ideas and things you're working on, but it's hard to have it physically nearby. So that's one challenge, and I'm ready to take up all that challenges and cultivate and offer my kids hopefully something which is part of a kind of dare I say eternal kind of educational system, the one that was available thousands of years ago among the ancient philosophers, or in the times of the Renaissance and so on. Our daughter Florence has the name Florence partly because it was the epicenter of the Renaissance and the rebirth of ideas, and also because she was born around the summer solstice, which is also a blooming period in the year, the one where everything is sort of at its how do you say, top. There's a word for it, I forgot about it. It's when something is at its peak anyway. And these are things which are interesting for me as a parent, and me and my wife, we talk about this, we're both in on it. Of course, if we have one another, otherwise things wouldn't be sort of working out, but we have this sort of idea and vision and things that we sort of aspire towards. So I don't know if there are any parents out there watching this and so on, but I've seen parents sort of lamenting things they didn't sort of get to offer their kids and so on. But it's not only the one direction, like coming from me as a parent, there's also something coming from them, and that is present from the day they are born. Kids are offering you perspectives all the time. Of course, sometimes you have to sort of just make them stop and go on. When you've been to the playground, they just don't want to go from the playground. But if you're very subtle, you notice how much of a different perspective that they have on things, and it's already inspiring. So it's a two-way communication, it's a two-way thing, but we are humans. We need to be presented with something. We need to have it exemplified. One can talk about possibilities and what can be done and so on, but you have to see it. You have to have the like proof, basically. You have to have the exemplification, and you also need to be pushed in a direction in which you will sort of awaken a bit and start to look at things differently, in combination with the sort of standard way of looking at things, because just by yourself it takes longer time. So that was that for this video. Take care and all the best. Ciao.